Hello everyone. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. I got this in my email. No, not. I got this on my Facebook, and I was appalled by some of the things that, and it was true. I was like, is this true? There's no way. Okay, so this is some of our politicians and crimes against them regarding this is not all Epstein's Island and all this other stuff, but there are a ton of politicians who have pedophilia or some type of dealings with child porn or just some type of nasties. Okay, so let me just read it all. So Gazelle Maxwell's list became unsealed sometime yesterday, and here's what happened while y'all were strategically distracted by the COVID bullshit. Shows connection to Epstein over the years. I don't know. This is all allegedly, okay? We're going to put allegedly. I'm going to say it now and I'm going to say it afterwards, okay? So, Democratic Illinois State Representative Keith Firmhan has resigned and was charged with possession of child pornography and has been accused of bragging at an online site about sexually molesting a 6-year-old girl. Democratic spokesperson for Arkansas Democratic Party, Harold Moody Jr., was charged with distribution and possession of child pornography. I don't know exactly what days these are, but this is all alleged. Democratic Rodnar Township Board of Commissioners member Philip A.H.R. resigned from his position after being charged with possession of child pornography and abusing children between 2 and 6. Democratic activist and BLM organizer Charles Wade was arrested and charged with human trafficking and underage prostitution. Democratic Texas attorney and activist Mark Benavides was charged with having sex with a minor, inducing a child under 18 to have sex, and compelling prostitution of at least 9 legal clients and possession of child pornography. He was found guilty of 6 counts of sex trafficking. Democratic Virginia delegate Joe Morrissey was indicted on charges connected to his relationship with a 17-year-old girl and was charged with supervisory indecent liberties with a minor, electronic solicitation of a minor, possession of a child pornography, and distribution of child pornography. Democratic Massachusetts, I can never say that state right, Congressman Jerry Studs was censored by the House of Representatives after he admitted to an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old page. I don't know what a page is. A Democratic former mayor of Stillwater, New York, Rick Nelson, was pled guilty to 5 counts of possession of child pornography of children less than 18 years of age. Democratic former mayor of Clinton, New York, Dale Kenyon, was indicted for sexual acts against a teenager. I don't think this all had to do with Epstein, but we're going to continue to read. Democratic former mayor of Hubbard, Ohio, Richard Kennan, Kennan, was given a life sentence in jail for raping a 4-year-old girl. This is a mayor raping a 4-year-old girl. Democratic former mayor of Winston, Oregon, Kenneth Barrett, was arrested for setting up a meeting to have sex with a 14-year-old girl who turned out to be a police officer. Democratic former mayor of Rudolph, Nebraska, Dwayne L. Shutt was arrested and charged with 4 counts of felony third-degree sexual assault of a child and 1 count of intentional child abuse. Democratic former mayor of Dawson, Georgia, Christopher Wright, was indicted on the charges of aggravated child molestation, aggravated sodomy, rape, child molestation, and statutory rape of an 11-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. These are mayors. Didn't I tell you, don't trust the politicians, don't trust anyone. Okay, Democratic former mayor of Stockton, California. And now that's in the Bay. Anthony Silva was charged with providing alcohol to young adults during a game of strip poker that included a 16-year-old boy at a camp for underprivileged children run by the mayor. Oh, honey, this is just trifling. That's why I say don't trust politicians. Do not trust politicians. I'm telling you, they're the worst. That's why I try and stay far away from them, because they're filthy. But let's keep going. Democratic former mayor of Millbrook, New York, Donald Briggs, was arrested and charged with inappropriate sexual contact with a person under 17 years old. Isn't that statutory rape? Democratic Party leader for Victoria County, Texas, Stephen Jabor, pleaded guilty to possession and receiving over 500,000 child pornographic images. 500,000, okay? Democratic Party leader, all right? Democratic activist and fundraiser Terrence Bean was arrested on charges of sodomy and sex abuse in a case involving a 15-year-old boy, and when the alleged victim declined to testify, the judge dismissed the case. Why did that child decline to testify? Democratic Party chairman for Davidson County, Tennessee, Rodney Mullen, resigned amid child pornography allegations. Democratic activist Andrew Douglas Reed pled guilty to multiple counts of second-degree sexual exploitation. I'm missing a syllable, of a minor for producing child pornography. Democratic official from Terre Haute, Indiana, David Roberts, was sentenced to federal prison for producing and possessing child pornography, including placing hidden cameras in the bedrooms and bathrooms at a home he shared with 2 minor female victims. Lord, these filthy pieces of shit. Democratic California Congressman Tony Cardenas is being sued in LA County for allegedly sexually abusing a 16-year-old girl. Democratic aide to Senator Barbara Boxer, that's the Bay Area. I think she's Oakland. Jeff Rosotto pleaded guilty to charges of trading in child pornography. Barbara, really? Honey, you need to get your office in order. That's a damn shame. You need to be out of office too. Democratic Alaskan State Representative Dean Westlake resigned from his seat after media published a report alleging he fathered a child with a 16-year-old girl when he was 28. Help me, Jesus. Democrat New Jersey State Assemblyman Neil Cohen was convicted of possession and distribution of child pornography. Telling you, these dirtbags. Republican Tim Nolan, chairman of Donald Trump's presidential campaign in Kentucky, pled guilty to child sex trafficking And on February 11, 2018, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Republican State Senator Ralph Shorty was indicted on 4 counts of human trafficking and child pornography. In November 2017, he pled guilty to 1 count of child sex trafficking in exchange for the dropping of the charges. Republican anti-abortion activist Howard Scott Hildreth is a convicted rapist in Florida. Republican County Commissioner David Schwartz pleaded guilty to molesting 2 girls under the age of 11 and was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Republican Judge Mark Pasuhanik pled no contest to fondling a 10-year-old girl and was sentenced to 10 years probation. Republican anti-abortionist activist Nicholas Morency pleaded guilty to possessing child pornography on his computer and offering a bounty to no one who murders an abortion doctor. Offering a bounty to anybody who murders an abortion doctor. Sorry, I read that wrong. Republican legislator Edison Misley Aldarnando was sentenced to 10 years in prison for raping his daughter between the ages of 9 and 17. Republican Mayor Philip Giorano is serving 37-year sentence in federal prison for sexually abusing 8 and 10-year-old girls. There's a lot of mayors. Republican campaign consultant Tim Shortridge was sentenced to 3 years probation for taking nude photographs with a 15-year-old girl. Republican Senator Storm Thurmond, a notable racist, had sex with a 15-year-old black girl, which produced a child. Republican Pastor Mike Pence, whom George Bush commended during the 2004 presidential campaign, surrendered to police after admitting to a sexual affair with a female juvenile. Republican legislator Peter Dibble pleaded to no contest to having an inappropriate relationship with a 13-year-old girl. Republican Congressman Donald Buzz Lukens was found guilty of having sex with a female minor and sentenced to 1 month in jail. Republican fundraiser Richard A. Del Guldio was found guilty of child porn charges and paying 2 teenage girls to pose for sexual pictures. Republican activist Mark A. Garthen convicted on 6 counts of sex crimes involving children. Republican activist Randall David Ankeny pleaded guilty to attempted sexual assault on a child. Republican Congressman Dan Crane had sex with a female minor working as a congressional page. I don't know what a page is. Republican activist and Christian Coalition leader Beverly Russell admitted to an incestuous relationship with his stepdaughter. Republican Congressman and anti-gay activist Robert Bowman was charged with having sex with a 16-year-old boy he picked up at a gay bar. Republican Committee Chairman Jeffrey Patty was arrested for distributing a video clip of a 5-year-old girl being raped. Jesus, these people, this is disgusting. Republican activist Marty Glickman, aka Republican Marty, was taken into custody by federal police on 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with an underage girl and 1 count of delivering the drug LSD. Never had that before. Republican legislative aide Howard L. Brooks was charged with molesting a 12-year-old boy and and in possession of child pornography. Republican Senate candidate John Hathaway was accused of having sex with his 12-year-old babysitter and withdrew his candidacy after the allegations were reported in the media. Well, was he arrested? Republican preacher Stephen White, who demanded a return to traditional values, was sentenced to jail after offering $20 to a 14-year-old boy for permission to perform oral sex on him. So, what type of traditional values are we supposed to be returning to, Stephen? Republican talk show host John Matthews pleaded guilty to exposing his genitals to an 11-year-old girl. Republican anti-gay activist Earl Butch Kimmerling was sentenced to 40 years in prison for molesting an 8-year-old girl after he attempted to stop a gay couple from adopting her. Republican Party leader Paul Ingram pleaded guilty to 6 counts of raping his daughters and served 14 years in federal prison. Republican Election Board official Kevin Coan was sentenced to 2 years probation for soliciting sex over the internet from a 14-year-old girl. Republican politician Andrew Burr was charged with 2 counts of first-degree sodomy with a 13-year-old boy. Republican politician Keith Westmoreland was arrested on 7 felony counts of lewd and lascivious I can't pronounce this word, to girls the age of 16, exposing himself to children. Lascivious, but I don't know what that, I've never seen that word. Republican anti-abortion activist John Allen Byrd was charged with sexual misconduct involving a 15-year-old girl. Republican County Councilman Keola Childs pleaded guilty to molesting a male child. Republican activist John Butler was charged with criminal sexual assault of a teenage girl. Republican candidate Richard Gardner admitted to molesting his 2 daughters. Jesus. Republican councilman and former Marine Jack W. Gardner was convicted of molesting a 13-year-old girl. Republican County Commissioner Merle Robert Barter pleaded guilty to unlawful sexual conduct and assault on a teenage boy. Republican City Councilman Fred C. Smeltzer Jr. pleaded no contest to raping a 15-year-old girl and served 6 months in prison. Republican activist Parker A. Bina pleaded guilty to possession of child pornography on his home computer and was sentenced to 30 months in federal prison and fined $18,000. Republican parole board officer and former Colorado State Representative Larry Jack Swartz was fired after child pornography was found in his possession. Republican strategist and Seidel Military College graduate Robin Vanderwall was convicted in Virginia on 5 counts of soliciting sex from boys and girls over the internet. Republican City Councilman Mark Harris, who is described as a good military man and a churchgoer, was convicted of repeatedly having sex with a 11-year-old girl and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Republican businessman John Grunself withdrew his candidacy for Minnesota governor after allegations surfaced that he went swimming in the nude with 4 underage girls, including his daughter. Republican director of the Young Republican Federation, Nicholas Elizondo, molested his 6-year-old daughter and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Republican benefactor of conservative Christian groups, Richard A. Dayson Sr. was charged with rape for allegedly paying a 15-year-old girl for sex. Dayson, 62, who is married with grown children and several grandchildren, has allegedly told police that over the past decade, he paid more than $1 million to have sex with a large number of young women. Democratic donor and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein ran an underage sex brothel and was convicted of soliciting young underage girls for prostitution. Democratic New York Congressman Anthony Weiner pleaded guilty to transferring obscene material to a minor as part of a plea agreement for sex and sending Twitter DMs to underage girls as young as 15. Democratic donor, activist, and Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein is being criminally prosecuted and civilly sued for years of sexual abuse that was well known secret in Hollywood, including underage sexual activities with aspiring female actresses. Democratic activist and Me Too proponent Asia Gargento settled a lawsuit for sexual harassment stemming from sexual activities with an underage actor. Democratic mayor of Racine, Wisconsin, Gary Becker, was convicted of attempted child seduction, child pornography, and other sex crimes. Democratic Seattle Mayor Ed Murray resigned after multiple accusations of child sexual abuse were levied against him, including by family members. Democratic activist and aide to New York Mayor de Blasio, Jacob Schwartz, was arrested on possession of 3,000 plus child pornographic images. Democratic activist and actor Russell Simmons was sued based on an allegation of sexual assault where he coerced an underage model for sex. Democratic governor of Oregon Neil Goldschmidt, after being caught by a newspaper, publicly admitted to having a past sexual relationship with a 13-year-old girl after the statute of limitations on rape charges had expired. Democratic Illinois Congressman Mel Reynolds resigned from Congress after he was convicted of statutory rape of a 16-year-old campaign volunteer. Democratic New York Congressman Fred Richmond was arrested in Washington, D.C. for soliciting sex from a 16-year-old boy. Democratic activist, donor, director Roman Polanski fled the country after pleading guilty to statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl. Democrats and Hollywood actors still defend him to this day, including Whoopi Goldberg and a list of others. Democratic State Senator of Alaska, George Jacko, was found guilty of sexual harassment of an underage legislative page. Democratic State Representative candidate for Colorado, Andrew Myers, was convicted for possession of child pornography and enticing children. Oh, honey. Okay, we're almost to the end. Okay. Democratic Illinois Congressman Gus Savage was investigated by the Democratic-controlled House Committee of Ethics and attempting to rape an underage female Peace Corps volunteer in Zaire. The committee concluded that while the events did occur, his apology was sufficient and took no further action. Democratic activist, donor, spokesperson for Subway, Jared Jarrett, who was convicted in distribution and receipt of child pornography and traveling to engage in illicit sexual conduct with a minor. Jared, really? Oh, God. Democratic State Department official Carl Carl Carnegie, under Hillary Clinton's State Department, was arrested on 10 counts of child porn possession. Democratic Maine Assistant Attorney General James Cameron was sentenced to over 15 years in federal prison for 7 counts of child porn possession, receipt, and transmission. Democratic State Department official Daniel Rosen, under Hillary Clinton's State Department, was arrested and charged with allegedly soliciting sex from a minor over the internet. Democratic State Department official James Cafferty pled guilty to 1 count of transportation of child pornography. Democratic radio host Bernie Ward pled guilty to 1 count of sending child pornography over the internet. Bernie Ward, that name's on. Democratic Deputy Attorney General of California Raymond Liddy was arrested for possession of child pornography. So 25 minutes later, this is what we have to deal with. Now, when I say don't trust politicians, don't trust anyone. If this list does not prove my allegations, my theories, my thoughts, my videos, tell me what does. If this does not tell you how many, not all mayors, not all judges, not all representatives, not all congressmen are pedophiles and disgusting, filth monsters. But there are some. But see, they're not going to wear it on their face. So don't trust your kids with anyone. Talk to your kids when they're little. If someone touches you in a nasty place, you tell mommy. You don't, or daddy, I don't care what they say. You make sure you tell me. Please, people, don't trust your kids with anyone. I'm an old woman. If I knew now what I knew then, I would never let my child out of sight. He's grown now. And please believe me, even at the age of 26, almost 27, I still ask him, please let me know if you even remember of anyone molesting you, because mommy will take care of it, even at this age. Oh, yes. So, I don't like people who commit adultery with married people. I cannot stand child molesters, okay? Don't mess with this disabled, all right? Those things, don't do. Because I don't care who you are. You could be Jesus Christ himself. I'm going to talk about you. And I will exploit you. Do you understand? I will. So all of that being said, I hope that you were able to decipher my reading, of these names and chopping them up. If whatever comments you have, come on, bring them. Come on, because I'm ready for them. I want you guys to, I love a negative comment. Love it. I love it. I love to debate and argue. Honey, I can go on for years in a debate and argue. You better ask somebody. Okay? So, on August 5th, 2020, I read off those lists. But who are in those sealed documents? See, I don't think this is not sealed. This is public information. What names, Trump, Clinton, maybe Obama, allegedly, who's in those sealed documents? And what's going to happen when those sealed documents, these are not sealed. This is, public opinion. But what are we going to hear about when, we get the real names? What's going to happen then? Stay tuned, people.